Are you both a New Yorker and a Love Island USA fan who feels like you've been fighting for your life in these comments?
Are you watching the show alone, opening your phone immediately after to review the discourse because there's so much to say online?
If so, we have the perfect finale night for you, and it's with us in real life watching it together. We're going to have specialty cocktails, craft beer, and villa-approved snacks.
Join us on this Sunday, July 13th at the Jeffrey on 60th Street.
It's free. Just sign up at the link. We're going to have games, door prizes, general discussions about our favorite and least favorite Islanders.
We may even have a wager to see who wins.
Ugh, of course a man would bring sports betting into this.
Anyway, join us. Reality TV watchers are amongst the most interesting people we know, so we want you to meet you. Anyway, join us. Reality TV watchers are among the most interesting people we know, so we want to meet you in person.
Whether you ride for Huda with a mob-like dedication or you manifested Nicolandria right before our eyes, you're welcome in this space.
You can use the link in our bio to get your free tickets so we can know how many to plan for. Sign up and bring a friend because women should be able to watch their shows in bars as well.
See, this is why I married you. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Hello and welcome to Pop Snitch Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel.
And I'm Brandon.
And we are back for another update. We have so many stories to get through, but first, I want to talk about what we did last night.
All right, hit us.
Brandon and I went to our friend's birthday party, and she had it at this very chic, it's like a bookstore / wine bar, essentially. And we all brought our own book wrapped with like a little clue on it. And when I say all, I mean everyone except for me and Brandon. We brought the book. We got that memo. We did that. Unfortunately, we're a bag family, so we did not have wrapping paper readily available. So Brandon just picked up bags, thinking it was just going to be kind of like a white elephant thing, and we could just like write it on the package. When I tell you our books were picked last.
Yes, because of how bad the presentation was.
Yeah, the packaging was not great. These people went to actual bookstores and got it packaged, and it looked absolutely lovely. And I was so embarrassed. I wanted to crawl under the table when we were doing that.
And
part.
I also brought a used book, which I was not proud of after the fact that I realized that everyone else bought their books. But
no, but that's not true because the one that I got is used too.
Were we the only people who brought used books?
No, the one I got. Other people brought used books too.
Okay. I was like, what?
No, and then another one was one of the classics. I hope you like annotations. Like most of them, I would say about half of them were used and half of them were brand new.
All right.
But we got into a discussion at our table because we were talking, of course, about reality TV, and we were talking with some women who are dating. And Brandon and I have been married for like 100 years. So we don't fully understand the dating pool. We just know it's tough out there, you know? And so we were talking about like hot guys, what they need to do to like understand women better. And I feel like I could solve all of the dating problems for men and women right now if men just read the smut books that women love. Like I just feel like they would better understand the like female psyche.
Really?
Yeah, like even, okay, so the people on TikTok, there are a couple creators on there who are guys who are like very attractive, and they read like A Court of Thorns. They read like these like long series of smut books, and the women are thirsty and those like saying things that makes me blush. And I actually saw a post, I don't remember if it was today or yesterday, of Jeremiah reading that book. Like he just had like someone videoing him reading it. And I was like, that whoever is guiding him in his post-villa social media is doing such a good job. It is absolutely chef's kiss.
Nice.
But yeah, I think like do that. Like instead of listening to other single men in the manosphere, like imagine listening to what a woman wants from a woman for a woman.
So I have this question, and it's not fully formed, but I really want I want you to think about it and not be triggered by it immediately, because I really want you to think deeply about the question that I'm about to ask. All right?
I love that you think I wouldn't think deeply.
No, I'm just saying, like, I feel like your initial reaction to this is going to be to
visceral, be
upset at me for even asking.
Good. Okay.
So I was listening to the Caller Daddy Charlize Theron episode. Okay. And one of the things that I really love about her and loved about the episode is her just owning the fact that she's nearly 50. She is single. She's not looking to be married. She's not looking for a man to complete her. And like one of the things that like Alex was asking her about was, how do you do this? Like, how have you made this life for yourself that doesn't require a man to fulfill you, or doesn't require a relationship to fulfill you, or, you know, whatever the thing may be. And one of the things she says, like, I will not compromise myself for anyone. Like, I will not give up anything. I will not sacrifice anything. I will not change for anyone. I will not make myself someone smaller for you. I will not make myself someone who I am not for you, just to make you feel better about being with me. Right.
Okay.
And I agree with all of that, just to be clear. And I think I don't know that works for like having a great relationship if that's what you desire, but I think
Sure.
but if that's what you want, I think that's a great thing for her to say. But what I was left thinking about is like, when I hear about these manosphere guys, or even like the like less toxic version, like the Scott Galloway version of this, that like men are lonely and men are at a disadvantage in some of these ways and all of this, which I don't ascribe to that. We are asking men to do the exact opposite of that. Like, you have to go out and you have to get the job that's perfect, and you have to be caring in all of these ways that we've not traditionally asked men to be caring. We need you to, you know, be a great father but also a great provider, and all of these pressure points for a man that has to fulfill before he can be a suitable partner. Right? And so what I was thinking about during that whole interview is, like, how does a man bring that same energy, but also like step up and be the kind of person that somebody would want to date? You know what I mean?
Like, bring the same energy as Charlize was bringing?
Yeah, like, I think what people would say is, like, it would be wrong to say that Charlize should change anything about herself to be able to be like a suitable partner or whatever for someone, or to have love in her life, right? Okay. But we're asking a lot of men right now, I think rightfully so, especially after how easy they've had it for so long. I'm just saying, like, where is you know what I'm saying? It just seems a little, yeah.
Okay, so I think I can answer this in two separate thoughts. One, I think the biggest like cognitive dissonance I'm having in your question is that Charlize does not want to be in a relationship.
Right.
So like most of those are different. And the reason that she has the ability to do that is like she can financially meet her needs. She's drop dead gorgeous. She can meet her needs otherwise as well. People would be lining up. So I understand her being like, listen, I'm raising my kids right now the way that I want to raise them. I don't really want input from anybody else. You know, I don't need a relationship to be happy and fulfilled. And I think that the manosphere is responding to a lot of women who are saying, you know what, actually, I would like a partner, but unless they can add to my life, I don't see the need for it.
Right. And I also didn't describe that very well, because she did say after that, like, I'm looking for like a long-term commitment in my life. I just don't want to be married. So she is looking for like partnership. She just doesn't want the trappings of like a marriage. But but that's what I mean.
Yeah. And I think even like, okay, so there are a couple of things. One, I think the men who feel like they're being asked to do too much are like Charlize and her perspective is a response to what women have been asked to do
100%.
for a very long time. And I know you know that. I know you're like a non-practicing man in terms of like being toxic.
Oh, this is new merch. Non-practicing man.
But I feel like with that, what's happened is, God, so much like men built a system, right, that suited them largely, where until the 70s, women couldn't even open a bank account or be in charge of their own finances. So to be able to thrive, a woman absolutely, it was necessary. Like, you need to get married, you need to have children, and you need to do whatever you need to make sure your husband is happy, because that's the person who's going to be bringing in money for your family. And now women go to school more often, women own more homes. And so as women have become more financially capable of taking care of themselves, they are looking for things in partners now that in the past they simply did not, because they didn't have that privilege, right? And I think in all of that time, as women are like trying to push through a system that seeks to prevent them from reaching the same heights as men, men stopped like going to college at the same rate because it is very expensive. But women are still going at a high, like women are willing to pay that price.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I guess that's the thing that I understand less. And also some of it was social media. Like a lot of, and listen, the return investment on college now is not what it was when we went. I can absolutely acknowledge that. But a lot of these guys got on the YouTube train early and made their money online and are telling these kids, like, don't bother with college. And it's like, oh, no, actually, you need to bother with something. It could be a trade.
That's a really good point.
Whatever. But you're listening to someone who got in somewhere where now it's incredibly saturated. So I don't know. I think that they got some bad advice. They got very angry. And another thing that I will say is that a lot of men are not allowed to feel anything but anger. And I think that not giving men the space to have like a range of emotions has been stunting for a lot of them. So yeah, I think the questions are kind of like talking past each other.
Right.
You kind of
I find what you're saying very helpful though. To even think about like my friends who are in a similar like obviously I'm not in this position, but I talk to a lot of people who are, and like I see a lot of people online, and I'm like, it's like they need somebody to just like what you were saying about the books, like read a book, like find out what women are into. It's like I think I want like some kind of content out there from women speaking to men in a way that's not like degrading them or like asking them to like not be a man, but at the same time, like step up, do something. Like this is how to attract that kind of person that you're looking for. Like there are women out there. We're at a table with very attractive, available women last night who cannot find a person that they would deem worthy of their time. Even just their energy to get ready and go out. So there are a couple of things. One, men need to be out in the wild more. Oh my God, like, get off your phone.
And like less terrified to approach women. Like I understand that like there is this whole line of like, I don't want to be creepy, but you can go up to someone and say like, hey, I think you're really attractive and then ask them like an interesting question and they can turn you down and you just have to be okay with that. I think a lot of guys in their 20s are deeply afraid of rejection.
Petrified.
They have not, like when we were coming up, you just got rejected all the time.
All the time. Because the only way to get a date was just to constantly be like going out or like, or like go out in a group over and over again until like you were able to like
pre-matching that was available.
No.
But it built a resilience. And so I think that that's part of it is that women experience rejection at a higher rate than men, typically just like in life, because they're so picky about how we look, what we do, whatever. And I think that men need a little bit more rejection resilience and that would be good for them to just like get outside. They need some friends. A lot of guys are like just online playing video games or just doing whatever. And that's no hate, like do your thing, but be outside. I do think they should read Smut. And then in terms of like how they're holding themselves, they need to come thinking of like questions that they want to ask someone they want to get to know. Where do you live and where do you work are not very interesting questions. So like ask interesting questions, listen to answers. And I think also just like, if you go out with someone and you have a good time and then they're like, hey, do you want to come back to my place? And you go and it's dirty or like,
I mean, gosh, can we not do the small things?
That's what I mean. But that's what even like, we'll get into Next Gen in a minute, but picture Charlie's apartment, which is in a nice building, but that's how so many guys in their 20s are living. Yeah. It's just like filthy. And so asking a woman who has taken care of like her stuff to go over there, it's like, why would I want to be with someone who doesn't respect his own space?
I mean,
this man's going to expect me to come clean up after him.
Well, and it's like spending money on Botox, spending money on like getting yourself looking good, your hair, your nails, and then guys can't do the bare minimum.
Yeah. And I think like, that's where the rub comes. And I think a lot of men are not they're feeling pretty, like I said, about rejection. Like I'm in sales. In order to make my quota, I have to experience like 20 rejections before I can get what I need. And it does not faze me. But there are a lot of people who can't do that. And so for men, I think they are not as ambitious or like moving up in their careers even as much if they are not immediately successful. And I'm talking like specifically about young men. And I think some of this is because if you're 24, like you're still part of the COVID generation who experienced it while you were in college or high school, well, college if you're 24. But like, you know what I mean? Like young adults were
affected
entering
a
the work.
very, very like pivotal moment in your life.
Yeah, in a really
and
it
robbed
affected
you
kids.
in a way.
And it really made it difficult for them to be resilient and to know how to act with someone in real life, like small talk and just like basic cues.
In high school and early college are
That's
those years
learn.
where you figure that stuff out.
Yeah. So I do have a lot of empathy for that. And to that, I would just say the small things you can do are build that resilience, go out, talk to people, ask interesting questions, come with questions in your mind. If you need to write it in your notes app, write it in your notes app. It's not like an interview, but it's good to like have it to think about if you're nervous.
Better to think of it like that than other things.
Well, and I'm like, you might meet someone, you know, who rejects you romantically, but you guys strike up a friendship. And then 6 months from now, she breaks up with her boyfriend and she thinks, oh,
well, then your access,
right
but your access to other women increases by having female friends.
Yes.
Like, so they'll be like, he's not right for me, but I tell you he is right for.
Especially if you're a nice guy. And I will say, I have had men come up to me on the street and scare me to death because I've had my headphones in or something and like tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, I think you're pretty. And I am always flattered. And I am always like, I'm rude to men just, you know, on principle. But I always tell them, or I try to remember it. The last time I forgot, but I try to remember to be like, hey, I'm married. Keep doing this. Like, good for you for like walking up to someone because that's hard. But yeah, I think they
vulnerable,
need to keep doing that.
Which is good, you know.
And he could tell, the last guy like could tell I was scared, and it scared him that I was scared, and I was like, But I'm still, I mean, again, it made my day. I do think when he got closer and saw that I was like a solid 10 years older than him, he was probably very thankful that I was like, apologies, I'm married.
Right.
So now that we've solved all dating problems for the youths, I think we should move on to who a lot of people feel Paige DeSorbo is dating. Do you know that guy? Joe Emilio? Do you know him?
I have no idea who that is.
I can't remember. It's something to do with like sports and finance. I don't know much about him either. He was spotted with her at the Eagles game. I want to say like November.
That was
December,
a while
January.
back. Yeah. But they're
so
still
apparently,
together.
Dumois posted that she can't release the photo, but that he's there in Italy because she was there with her family. And then in the same day or week, at least, Hannah and Paige were told that they were in the Time 100 for creators.
Okay, nice.
So Giggly Squad has officially graduated from the Summer House. They are,
Congrats.
I mean, they have been for a while, but it is interesting to like watch two girls who met on a reality TV show become such good friends that they were able to catapult it into the juggernaut that it's become.
Right. Yeah, I think it's, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, my worry for them always was like, will they be able to have success beyond the show?
Right. And they have. I'm curious to see how long it lasts. One of the funny things they said was that they think what made it work was that they literally had no plan. They just were like, we're going to do this for a while, see what happens. There was no strategy. And I think if I had to guess, they probably have something based on like the YouTube show that they did and all of this, like something cooking up like in the works for us. I don't know that for sure, but I would not be shocked if we find out they're going to be on like a different type of reality show or produce their own.
I mean, that would be great. I mean, with Paige and how she's just so good at reality TV, and Hannah and how unhinged she is, like I would watch immediately. So
yeah,
big fan of that idea.
And other Summer House news. You'll be so pleased to hear that Carl has released a statement that Soft Bar is opening this summer. He did give an address in Brooklyn. He did give a color scheme of like earthy, calming tones. And I am assuming that it's going to open. I'll be curious to see how they film it and like how it will work in conjunction with the show, because obviously he wants to get the opening on the show. It'd be crazy not to.
Maybe we'll make an appearance at the soft bar opening.
Yeah, methinks we are not invited yet, but who knows what'll happen.
Well, I mean, hey, you want to get you want to get it out there, Carl.
I know.
Invite Pop Snitch.
That's right. Wait for it. We'll bring a crowd.
Sarah...
No, I'm excited for him. I'm worried for him. You know, like this is a venture.
I'm glad that he's excited about it. I'm glad that it's something he's passionate about. I like everyone else who's ever said this, including his best friends, like, I don't know where the money-making strategy is here, and I don't know that it will survive, but I'm glad that he's found something that he can put his, efforts
his heart
towards.
Into. Yeah. And maybe he can turn it into like even like an event space or something at some point. Like there are ways that potentially he can make money from it. But if he does it, like who wants to, I don't want to say who wants, but I don't know how much desire there is for an event space with no alcohol. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think the event space with no alcohol is hard.
Yeah. Maybe he could let them bring their own alcohol, but if they don't have their liquor license, then I don't know that they could do that. So I don't know. I hope the best for Carl. I hope he at least makes his investment back and, we'll go from there.
I hope he makes his nut. You know what I mean? Like,
I hate it when people say that.
But I do. Like, I hope he makes a ton of money off of this. I hope it goes gangbusters. I hope every sober person in the world comes out to his bar. I don't know how rational that is, but that's what I hope for him. I don't want him to fail.
Of course. I don't see, it's difficult for me to understand because I know opening a restaurant, the margins are already so low. And then you take away the one thing that is where you make most of your money. It's difficult to see what would happen, but who knows? Like it could end up being something that a lot of sober people frequent and make that up for him. And what he's utilizing may be cheaper than alcohol. So who knows? Yeah.
Maybe it's the sober, curious people out in Bushwick and Williamsburg will love this. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe we're the fossils who don't understand what the future is.
I know. We're the last. Well, no, not the last, but I feel like millennials drank a really good bit in the 20s. Well,
that's the whole thing. It's like because of millennials, bourbon literally came back as a drink. Like it literally almost went extinct because it was viewed as like an old man's drink. People during the like Sex and the City era were all drinking Cosmopolitans and vodka-based drinks and rum-based drinks.
Like clear liquid.
And then literally in like the early aughts to like the 2010s, people started drinking liquor. Yeah, people started drinking liquor again.
Yeah, we started watching Mad Men,
brown liquor.
And we were all like, not to brag, but we're bringing back the liquor that put men in their graves.
Literally, we're gonna bring back old fashions and drinking scotch neat. So it totally could happen. Maybe the next iteration is that there just is no alcohol and bourbon goes the way of the dodo.
They'll be healthier for that. I'm like, whatever floats your boat, buddy. Speaking of relationships yet again, Allie Luber has a new man since her split with James Kennedy. Did you see this?
Oh, no. Who is this?
Allie is the astrologer who used to date, I don't know who her new man is, but she used to date
what I meant.
James Kennedy.
Well, I know her. I was saying, do we know who it is?
We don't. I think he's just a normie. And I love that for her. I just always thought she was way too sweet for James. And I can't tell if she was like really thirsty and like kind of wanted to be on the show. She doesn't have that vibe, but I guess it seemed like Rachel didn't have that vibe or Raquel didn't have that vibe either. And then she turned out to be a snake.
Well, I mean, the whole thing with Allie is like she used it to launch her like astrology business and stuff like, hey, get that coin.
True.
I mean, that's the whole, there is no reason to subject your life to reality television if you're not going to try to also make money off of it.
100%.
Like straight up. So like more power to these people. If like they're going to show us they're ugly and probably never be able to get like the kind of real job again because of what's out there, like you better get your astrology business going. You better get that soft bar up and running. Like that's how it's going to be.
True. Well, this week we are talking to you about 3 shows. We have so much on the docket, so we're just going to get right into it. We've got The Valley and then Next Gen. And then, of course, as always, we will talk about Love Island. For the Valley, so last week and this week, we got to see Kristen Doute's engagement. We've talked a lot about how this is just like a Doute stan podcast.
Hallelujah.
I'm so happy for her. I love that this episode was unhinged. Like, the Valley has been dark most of the season, and this to me was funny, messy, like whatever, chaos that didn't feel as dark until, of course, Janet made it such. But we'll get into it. At the beginning, I thought it was interesting. So Luke and Kristen were on the boat getting engaged, and Nia and Danny were there trying to keep Kristen from knowing what was happening, making sure that they had pictures, making sure that Luke had support. Like, lest we forget, Luke had fully crashed out the night before and lost his mind.
Yes.
So they're there doing that. When they get back to the resort where everybody's going to go have the party, where Zach's like, okay, this is where they're going to meet us for this little luau. All of the cast is mad that Nia and Danny aren't there. And I'm like, did y'all miss the part where they were out on the sea trying to like help them get engaged? Like, am I crazy for thinking it was wild that they were mad when Zach was the one who brought everything, kept everything a secret, and was doing everything himself?
Well, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, first of all, these people have the ability to make everything about themselves. Like, Brittany's making it about her. I'm like, well, I mean, I've been Kristen's friend since the beginning of time, and I can't believe I didn't know about this. And then immediately, she's the one who tells Jax. One of the first people to know, before Kristen's own mother and family know about her engagement. Jax Taylor knows and is texting the men's group chat and telling the whole. And Kristen calls up Brittany. It's like, how does Jax know about this? And Brittany's like, well, I told him. I told him. I told him not to tell nobody. I told him not to tell nobody. What? He told?
Oh my God, that was so loud in my ear. Yeah. I do think she began to melt down a little bit that she wasn't involved. It was giving kind of the same energy as like Danielle getting really drunk at Lindsay and Carl's party and telling everyone that she didn't know about it. Obviously, Brittany held it together better than that. But I do think the complaining about Danny and Nia not being there and because she was genuinely angry, she was not on the boat helping her get engaged. And I think that her going to Jax and telling him that was, if I were Kristen, handled that with grace, because I would have been furious. I feel like Brittany gets away with doing a lot of stuff that the other women do not get away with. And I don't know if it's the Southern accent. I don't know what it was. But I'm glad that Kristen sat her down and was basically like, you don't take up for me the way you do Janet. You literally told the one person we told you not to tell because we haven't talked to our families yet. And he is already telling everyone. And you like don't take up for me when we're even all together. Like, never mind what she's saying behind my back. And Brittany is just like, yeah, no. And she does this classic Southern thing, which we saw growing up down South, which is when you're telling someone that they did something wrong, like, oh, I know, I hate myself. I know I shouldn't have done it. Where you almost feel guilty. And Kristen even said this like before she went in on it. She's like, I almost feel guilty telling you how I feel about this thing with Janet. But I don't know if they know from not having grown up there that that is like a deflection
tactic.
Yes. And I don't think it's intentional on her part. But
That's cultural. But it still sucks.
It's so annoying to watch it and know like that people utilize that so much. And I'm like, Brittany, you can fall on the sword. Like, that's fine. But why did you do that? I wish, like, I don't know. I felt like she did it on purpose because she was upset that she wasn't involved. Maybe not on purpose. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was like subconscious is what I'm trying to say.
Once again, going back to our love for Zach.
Yes.
He is the only person who ever holds Brittany accountable for anything.
He holds everybody accountable. And he holds Jasmine accountable. She was complaining and he was like, no, stop that. They're like best friends.
But like the whole thing with Brittany, like he's like, come on now, about that whole like, I wasn't there and all that. And then on the boat, he's the one who's like, why are you letting Jax, while you're gone, like just control your house, be over at your house with crews, like have unlimited access to all your stuff, your house, your kid, all this stuff when you know he's troubled and off. And then he even goes as far as to say, it's like, I can feel you like falling back into the same similar patterns of like, it's just easier to be with Jax, easier to put up with stuff. I've grown used to it. I've grown accustomed to it. And he's like, if I had the papers right here for you to sign right now, would you sign them? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, good.
But that's a good friend. Like he called her 100%. Out and then pulled it back.
No,
he
what I mean.
Did such a good job. Yeah, he planned the emotional capacity that he had to have for that trip. He planned in secret with this engagement, knowing that Kristen knows everything all the time.
Yes.
He had to deal with everyone complaining, every single person complaining either that they weren't involved in it, that they didn't like the decorations, that they were mad they had to be at a luau.
Even Luke, who's like,
yes.
Why didn't he give me the room? He should have given me the room, even though he ended up doing it. Like, it's just...
No matter what he did, someone was mad. And it was his friends. And what I loved is that he genuinely was like, you guys are being rude and selfish and you need to shut up. And he said it like that and then was also like, I hear that you're frustrated like this. I don't know. I felt like he handled that so well. I was very, very, very impressed. And I thought that Luke wearing those little shorts and revealing his moose knuckle was
mercy.
So interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know what that... I didn't know that he was like that guy. That feels like something Jesse would do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I can't relate to the desire to go on full display like in front of everyone.
He was so excited about it. He kept like opening his shirt more. It looked like
why was everything so tight?
I don't know. It kind of looks like a Halloween costume.
Yeah,
and I'm like, is this made for you?
Like a child's outfit that he accidentally put. I don't know. It was a weird choice, and he was the only person dressed up like that.
Yes, it was
a real
it was curious.
It's like he told everybody to dress. I think there was some miscommunication about the dress code for the cruise.
Clearly,
because like he was dressed up, no one else dressed up for this cruise
except for Jesse, who wore that hat. Yes. And I loved Michelle talking about his hat, and she was like, ugh, he looks so douchey. And then she did give us some context that Jesse used to not be douchey, that he was like fun and sentimental. And she said, like, when he started making a lot of money, he completely changed.
I can totally see that with like, because he's able to access such feelings of his own, like disappointment and like in some ways vulnerable enough to say like, I'm really upset about, like, there is deep feeling within him. He's not a complete and utter sociopath, but it's obvious that something just absolutely shifted for him because like sociopaths can't access that kind of feeling even about their own stuff.
Jax Taylor is a perfect example.
Yes, they only mirror.
Yeah, Jax will tell you anything he thinks you want to hear. He does not care whether it's true or not. He doesn't care whether it's how he feels or not. He's just going to say whatever to get you to shut up. In the same way that I think Charlie does that in Next Gen. Like, it's this like sociopathic urge to make you stop doing whatever emotion you have because he doesn't like emotions unless they're his.
I love those like TikTok memes that are like Jax Taylor, young Jax Taylor. Like 60-year-old Jax Taylor, and it's all like other people from different shows that like just show
are
like
psychotic.
Who Jax Taylor was or who he will become eventually, like based on who they are.
He needs to get off TV. Like watching him have those interactions with his pupils so dilated and that crazy look in his eyes, I'm like, Brittany, how?
If this is him sober, bring back the drugs. Like, honestly.
Well, I think it's been like pretty well stated that he was not sober at this point. That he went back to rehab.
When he's over at Schwartz's house having that like short conversation in this episode, I'm like, this man is on drugs. Or he is so out of balance and in need of like medication that he's not interacting well like on film. Like something is disordered.
Schwartz did a good job, actually, of calling him out. As someone who never calls anybody out, I was like, okay, Schwartz, have we learned a lesson?
Schwartz is done with it. Schwartz is done with it because, like, he's gotten dragged down by Jax so many times. And he's like, no, you will not ruin her life and your child's life and your life again. Like,
I appreciated that. He was like, no,
Yes.
you're getting divorced. Focus on co-parenting. Like, that is where your head needs to be at. He was very direct, which
he's
is
like, you
very
both need
unlike
to be
him.
out there dating other people. You needed to get out of this. This is toxic.
It was the first time that I feel like I've rooted for Schwartz in quite a while. I was very happy to see him do that.
Well, and that also shows a little bit of like what the general perception of Brittany is too. Like, he's like, she's off too. She's toxic for you. This is bad.
Yeah, because she just appeases him.
Yes.
And believes him for reasons I don't fully understand. But we also see this with her and her friends. Like, she does not want to tell anyone when they do something wrong.
And feeds into the narcissism of it all.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, in a weird way, is what would you call it? Enabling it.
Yeah. She's definitely an enabler. Definitely. I mean, even on this boat, they're there trying to celebrate Kristen and Luke's engagement. And Janet, I mean, I don't know why she always takes it to a place it doesn't need to go, and she does it when everybody's drunk. So again, she brings up Danny and Nia. And Danny, I still am unclear because Jasmine went back and forth on this, and she has proven herself to be not exactly like fully telling the truth all the time, which who among us? But I can't tell exactly what happened. It sounds like Danny said, "Get daddy a drink," which is never not funny, to Jasmine, which is obviously inappropriate. And what I understand, he potentially groped her girlfriend's buttocks. Is that what you understand to have happened?
Yes. But the new piece is that at these meet and greets that they've been doing for the Valley promos, that he has also been saying inappropriate stuff.
Yeah, but the people who said that, like, it was all hearsay. So that's certainly possible. I hope it's not true.
No, I don't think that it is. And all of it's, even Janet is admitting in the moment that it's all hearsay. Well, not Janet isn't, but her husband. Jason is admitting that it's all secondhand crap. But
it just feels like they're so jealous of them. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and Danny's not who we think he is, but like...
But we tell this story, though, like, this is how these shows work.
Yeah.
Based on what we know, is that at the beginning of a season, you talk to the producers and say, this is the story that I want to tell this season. And like, they may choose to use it or not, but it's like, this is my storyline. And I have to believe that Janet and Jason's storyline for this was like, everybody thinks that Danny and Nia are this perfect little couple, but there are cracks in the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And because that did not just catch on like gangbusters from moment one, they just keep pushing and making up.
They're like pushing the storyline over and over and over.
Yeah, but that's it. They're going back to the storyline that they've created, and they're wanting to push that. They're wanting to twist the truth. They're wanting to just put it back into our faces over and over again, and it's just not working. Like, it doesn't. Even if some of this stuff is true, even if which he did. I mean, he admits to like touching her butt or whatever when he was drunk.
Yeah.
Like, even if all of that is true, like, we don't need to keep revisiting it. Like, the truth of the matter is that he spoke with Jasmine like 4 times now, and they have quote unquote forgiven him or whatever it is. Like, we got to just leave this. It's solved.
I think that's why Kristen was getting so upset, because she's like, why are you saying that he sexually assaulted her? She's right there. And the problem is that the term sexual assault is broad. And so, you know, when you're working in law or investigation or whatever, if someone says sexual assault, it could be groping is technically included in that. Now, you know, sliding your hand up like behind a friend's butt and attacking someone. I think when people, the context for sexual assault is important, and how people feel about it is important. And I think Janet made a choice calling it that. And it's not that she's incorrect in terms of terminology.
Nia says that on the episode. She says, did you need to say it or did you choose to say it?
It was something that I'm sick of hearing about it episode after episode, when the very person who it happened to has said, I'm done, I'm over it. And that's not to excuse Danny, but he has actually tried to like take accountability for it. And all that, Jana just keeps saying it over and over and over. And then she escalated it here. And I think it's because they got a lot of hate as a couple last year.
No, of course.
And Nia and Danny did it. And so there's like a whole layer of jealousy.
Well, and I also think it's important to note that if this was still ongoing and if Jasmine and her partner were still upset about this.
Yeah.
They would not be on the show anymore. Like,
and it would be a different story.
If they were classifying this as sexual assault, then he would be kicked off the show without a doubt.
Well, who knows? It's Bravo. But I do think everybody would be responding differently if either of them were still angry.
Of course.
And so I think that's what's frustrating. Yeah. And I'm like, Janet, why did you even go if you were just going to like try to get these little digs in? And that's why I just find her to be a miserable person. I don't wish her evil. I think also Dodie was in the comments essentially alluding to the idea that Janet told people she had to escape the country and it was really just a vacation.
Oh,
that's yeah. So she's got a lot of spin in her. And I thought it was funny them bringing up that like she was a fan who came into the friend group via Sheena.
No, that was brought up in this episode, which I was impressed by.
Well, and she knew that Sheena had been recently divorced and young. And that's like what she used to connect with her, was like she was in the process of getting a divorce or about to start that process when she met Sheena at that pool party.
Breaking the fourth wall with this show and like actually talking about lore, I'm like, I appreciate that, because that's one thing that Vanderpump never did. Prior to the Ariana Maddox thing, they never really like got into like, well, why is this person coming into the group and like, how did this happen? But the fact that the Valley is doing that, like, I appreciate that. I see you, Valley.
Well, and Brittany did say, Brittany's like, I'm the one who said that Janet should be on the show. She didn't like present that herself. And like, of course it was Brittany. And then Janet made a funny comment on the after show where she was like, yeah, my memoir will be at Owe My Life to Sheena Shea. And she's like, God forbid I like a show that was meant for millennial women like me and that I watched when I was young.
Good smart.
And like, I agree with that. And honestly, if she was able to catapult herself to the place that she was, good for her. But I do think it's funny that Zach was like, and she's not even supposed to be here.
There are plenty of people who have crossed the path of the Vanderpump universe who never actually made it on the show. I mean, it could arguably be said that Peter never really made it on the show as a character. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you've got to have some pizzazz and some star power to stay at the center of these stories.
But I think the problem for her is that she doesn't have anything of her own. It's what I said last week. Like, she's not bringing any of her stories. And until she begins to do that, and that's why people don't like her. She's constantly deflecting to other people. And it's like, well, then
she's
have
a stirrer.
something interesting.
That's it.
Yeah, she just, and it feels, the way she's doing it now is just mean. Like, I think she thinks she's getting like a zinger, and it's not hitting.
It's not hitting for people, even people who like her, like myself. Like, it's not hitting for me. Like, get your stuff going.
It's the biggest red flag. Well, let's move on from what Vanderpump became to what people are saying is the next Vanderpump, which is Next Gen NYC. It's now comes on right before the Valley, and it's a lot of Bravo children.
Yeah,
like housewives' children, and
it's
then
heating
trust
up
fund.
Too. Finally,
it is.
First couple episodes,
kind of
I was like, "Ooh, I don't know about this."
Yeah, so it's kind of a slow start. Essentially, you have a couple housewives' children. Brooks is the center of the universe. Like, he's the one who I think had established the idea for this, and he's Meredith Marks from Salt Lake City Housewives, her son, and he is precious angel baby. For all the toxic men on Bravo, watching Brooks brings me such joy. He
like
speaks
him a lot.
In a monotone voice. He says hilarious things very slowly, and he hates conflict more than you do. Like, he absolutely, it makes his stomach hurt. He hid in the back of a vehicle and had to be let out of the trunk because people were fighting in the car on the way to his birthday. Like, this man was not built for that, and I love it. I love that he looks like his boyfriend.
Yes. I love Seth, too, who is his father.
His dad.
Yeah.
The way he is in this show more than Housewives is hilarious.
Yeah, for sure.
Really trying to cling to that youth there. But I appreciate it. So anyway, you've got Brooks in the middle. And then you've got Housewives of New Jersey. Teresa's daughter, Gia, is there. And then Riley from Real Housewives of Atlanta and Ariana, their parents, their moms, Kim, And
mortal enemies as well.
yes, why did I forget her name? Is it Candy? They have not spoken to each other in years, but you see their children like reconnect, which is really cool. And honestly, all four of them, I love them. I love watching them. I don't like the trust fund babies, which is like the other people in the group. Well, really, there's just like two. Ava and Charlie are really off-putting to me. And I think it is like the trust fund of it all. And her being like, my dad really wants me to be an entrepreneur, but I just want to be a model and it's hard. I'm like, oh my God. Really?
He wants me to run his $1 million businesses, but I want to do this. And I'm like, oh boy.
I'm like, to be young and hot and able to model and have a father who wants you to start businesses and who can give you that money, like, imagine.
This is the story I wanted to tell.
Yeah, like, it was just, I don't know. It's really out of touch. And I know that's not necessarily her fault, but there's that. And
we
then
love
you
some
have,
out of touchness for some reality TV.
Well, and that's why I think this isn't really like the Vanderpump thing. It's like a younger version of Housewives, where it's like something that people will aspire to, and it's in the city. So
aspirational wealth driven.
Yeah. And you're seeing these kids like, okay, so Ariana, her boyfriend is in the family of the people who own Zach Space. This boy goes out. I will say that Charlie clocked him with this. What did he say? He said that wealth whispers, and instead he's wearing his diamonds like he's the Christian rock band leader.
Yeah,
I was like, that is how he dresses.
Him. And
Hudson is his name.
Hudson, I will say, like, we can be friends. You got to keep me in Zach sauce. I will put that on anything.
It's so good. I do love Zach's face.
I don't know what's in Zach sauce, but it's like crack cocaine for Jax Taylor. That's what it is for Brandon.
Oh, it's your cocaine. So anyway, Hudson is coupled up with Ariana. And they've just moved up here from Atlanta, and I just like love seeing them having their new experience. And when Ariana's mom Kim comes to visit, she takes her to Little Italy, and it just reminded me of me and you when we first moved here, and we were like, oh my God, we're gonna go to Little Italy and get some like real Italian food.
Yeah.
It was very cute, very funny. One of the other characters is Georgia. And she is not a trust fund baby, to my knowledge. She works a lot, but it's like the most chaotic energy I have ever seen from someone. It's very like if girls met Younger. There's a character on Younger who does like the PR for everything. It's like her, but if she didn't wash her hair and didn't wash her hands and wore dirty clothes.
Yeah, I don't understand her background. I would love to know more about. I mean, obviously she has to come from money. There's no way that she can be as young as she is and have access to the kinds of like parties and environments without wealth. There's no way.
I think her parents would be considered like generally wealthy in a normal place. Just when you're in New York City with people whose parents, I mean, like they spent $14,000 at a bar,
right?
You know, like that's just not like
that's not your normal average.
Yeah, that's not like your dad's a doctor, you know. And she grew up in the Upper East Side, so obviously she had money. But I think it is just like on a completely different plane. Anyway, one of the main controversies surrounding the season is around them going to the box and sharing like a table and drinks and all of this. And Charlie is, okay, so backstory on Charlie. His dad is incredibly rich and basically gives him an allowance. He is 30 years old. He's the oldest of the group. He is so uninhibited in what he says and is so rude and mean and does the same thing as Jax Taylor when someone's mean to him. He's like, why don't you give me a hug? Like, let's just be done with it. Like, I don't even...
No job, no prospects, no partner, no nothing.
He thinks he's a day trader for crypto. But when they go to the box and they get their bill back, he says, oh, I actually don't have a debit card. I just use Apple Pay. And then just scoots right out of there. Mind you, he had brought like 10 girls with him to this who also drink all the alcohol. Mm-hmm. And so they're all covering his share. And so this whole season is revolving around the idea that like you can see him asking his dad for more money. His dad is saying no. He's not working. He's just like smoking weed all day, chilling, going out at night, skateboarding during the day. And then he like can't understand why he's like trying to get really young girls to go to these clubs with him. So when they're saying he's like going out to clubs at night, Yes, but he's specifically going out to clubs in the city where a lot of crypto bros go and bringing very young girls. I'm talking like 18 to 22. This man is 30. And he's bringing them and then bailing on the bill. And this has been something like on Reddit threads that's like been happening. So what you need to know about Charlie that I think is the most interesting part where I'm like, are we getting set up for like a Jen Shaw moment where, okay, so he was in the house of the crypto bro and frequented that house, bringing girls in and out of the crypto bro who, like tied up that Italian tourist and tortured him.
What?
And yes,
where
yes,
is that? Where have you
Soho.
found this out?
It's all. I need you to read more pop news. It's all over. So there are pictures of Charlie in that house. Now, important to note. There's not proof he was in the house when that man was in the house.
Yeah, of course.
But he's intimately involved with these very schemy, weird crypto bros, which makes so much more sense in the context of watching this now, where they're like, where did all these women come from? Where'd they come from? And on the Reddit threads of the girls who have been at those places with him, he is very vocal when he feels like a girl is overweight. He was trying to push out a lot of the girls of color, which is part of the reason that he had such an issue with Riley, I think. And he didn't like that she went up to them and was like, hey, you can't just come drink our liquor and not even introduce yourself. Like,
oh my
gosh. You should come say hello. So it's all
he's toxic for sure.
He's beyond toxic. And people, like, I understand his dad is awful. He's very competitive with him. And like, dude, there's nothing to compete with. Your son's a loser. Like, let it go. You don't have to rub it in his face. He knows it. We know it. The world knows it now. I think it's wild that he chose to go on the show. I think he's just like Jax. He has such a lack of self-awareness. These housewife children, they know how this works. They know that they have to like be cordial enough to get through a scene because they're all trying to get paid. You have a rift, but it can't be a rift that breaks everything. They are professionals. These girls are
They've been doing it since they were children.
They're incredible. They know how to bring it when they need to bring it and how to rein it back in. Ariana Bierman, give her an Oscar. Like, this girl, she is going to carry the show on her back.
Yes,
she is so relatable and funny and honestly fun to watch be new. Part of the fun as a New Yorker of like watching it is watching her be new to New York. Like so many of us have been.
And I also love that like she confronted what's her name about like talking about her clothes and all this, but like was also like, what is the problem here? Like, didn't go out of control, was just like, why would you say that about me? Like,
she's so pragmatic. And I don't think we talked about it last time, but her mother is in like, her mother is incredibly selfish and basically used all of her money before she was even old enough to take it.
They talk about that, how she's still paying all of their bills.
So she pays for her mom to live in this giant house. She pays for stuff for her siblings with her being able to be like on social media, being an influencer and being on this show. And she does it with like such grace. And Hudson, her boyfriend, the Zaxby's heir, is constantly like, you've got to set a boundary. And I agree with him, but I really respect her for not it would be hard for me not to resent my mom a lot.
She could toast her mom on the show.
Yes, she
or
could.
Toast her parents, and she has not.
No, instead, she has just kind of been like, here are the facts. Here's what we're dealing with. But I love my mom. I love my family, and I'm going to help them. So she's a star. She is starting her own clothing line. And to Ava's point, I think Ariana doesn't strike me as someone who is personally super fashionable. It does not mean she doesn't dress well. That's not what I'm trying to say. And I actually very much like her vibe. I like her tattoo placements. I like that she just kind of lets her hair be long.
I don't know that she's any worse dressed or whatever than anyone else on the show.
Not than Ava. Ava dresses so bland. So when she said that, I was like, wait, what? Because her being a model, in my mind, I was like, oh, okay. So like, it's not that important that you like be fashionable. They're going to give you the clothes. So when she came at her like that, I was like, that's so rude. And Ariana had been nothing but nice to her. Mm-hmm. And if anyone, I think Riley has the most interesting style. Like, I think she actually has style that is unique to her. The rest of them just kind of wear what's like cute and in the ether. And there's nothing wrong with that. But none of them have a style I could spot except for Riley. But anyway, so in this episode, they go to the Jersey Shore, which is where Gia is from. And it's for Brooks's birthday, and it devolves because Georgia and Charlie got into a fight last week over speakers. And I was having trouble like following the plot on this one, where he loaned her some speakers for a party.
No, one speaker.
One speaker.
One speaker.
This is a guy who gets $10,000 a month from his father.
And it's like a Bose Sound Link. It's like a $250 speaker.
And he gives it to a person. Now, I will say for Georgia, she does not have family giving her money. She lives in like kind of a rundown apartment. She pays her own bills. Whatever you think about, regardless of how you feel about like her parties and stuff, that girl works.
Yeah.
She is out there hustling. And he's calling her while she's at work, while she's in meetings, saying, hey, I need you to go home and get my speaker and send it to me. Not even like, can I come over and get it? I need you to put my speaker in an Uber to me. And she's like, I literally can't right now. I'm going to have to do it at a different time. She had an event for Meredith Marks that she was trying to put up. And she's like, can I just get it to you later? He's mad because he's trying to have house parties and he doesn't have the speaker he likes. And he thinks that's a reason to blow up on her and say things such as, if you were a man, I'd slap you in the face. You're a loser. You're only on the show because of me, and you're poor.
Yeah. I mean, he's sick.
And she's like, you would be in the street if your father dropped dead. Like, are you serious?
And she just kept, honestly, she held it together. Even when she did come at him a little bit, like she held it together pretty well. Because let me tell you, if that was you, you would have read him up and down in a way he'd never come back from. And he would have hit you probably.
Yeah, and then I would have filed charges.
He'd be
and
in
taken
jail
all his daddy's
or
money.
dead.
I'd be like, hit me. Can you get this side? I need to call your dad. No, totally.
Hey, we've got to get to Love Island. When I tell you, I'm
sweating.
literally sweating through the seat right now.
I've got one more comment about Next Gen, then we'll move on.
Okay, great.
Okay, the one thing that I really, really enjoyed about this episode that shows you what a great kid Brooks is the very end of the episode, as they're all arguing and screaming at each other, there is this like voiceover of Brooks talking about like crocheting, what he would do for his line and all these things. And it's literally like him talking like this, and you can see him visibly disassociating as they're all fighting, like moving into a corner, eyes are everywhere else. And I was like, I love him so much. Protect him at all costs.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Hit us with some Love Island updates. What a week.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of what the last episode that we talked about was.
We basically left off where TJ got voted off, and we picked back up after that.
Oh, yeah. I think the biggest thing to come out of this for me is the very quick and seemingly deep connection that has transpired between Pepe and Iris.
Yes, I like it. I kind of ship it. I feel like the last couple episodes have been exactly what I want from Love Island. They have been funny. They have been truly fun to watch, joyous. The last 2 episodes, I've had a cheeky grin on my face the entire time. I just have so loved seeing them love it. And I think I don't think Sierra was necessarily the source of everything in the villa, but I do wonder if her being thrown out, and we talked about that last time, that we thought she was going to get taken off, and she should have. Did you see the videos of what they think were her screaming in the villa?
Yes.
And I heard, I saw Zach did a live, who Amaya chose Brian. Thank God. Good job, girl. And he said that they set the cast down and were basically like, all that they were told was that Sierra did something that went against like the contracts and agreements for their expectations for Islanders. So I think they could all surmise, based on the fact that Yalisa left in kind of like a similar manner, though they had less information about that, that they all kind of surmised that she did something bad enough where people were calling for her to be off the show, but they had no idea. And so I think it's interesting that Nick, one, did not have a strong enough connection with her to leave, and probably was worried about like backlash if he left with someone who was taken off.
Well, imagine if, I'm sorry, but like production is there on the island, and the idea that they've gone this long and didn't find out why Yalisa was gone, right, I think is pretty unlikely. And
they don't know. They didn't know.
But what I'm saying is like, I'm saying like maybe they don't know, But I think it's possible that they could have gotten like some sort of idea why.
I don't think so. All the people who are coming off said they had absolutely no idea. For Yelissa, they were just told it was personal reasons.
Okay, but they didn't say that for her.
Right.
They didn't say that. So my thing is that you're on an island with a lot of people of color, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that the girl that you're dating is being sent home for some sort of like community guidelines infraction.
Mm-hmm.
I would immediately, but just because of like the climate, I would immediately assume that it was something racial that she had said online, or
I don't
like
know that
old
I would
tweets,
immediately
or
think
like
that.
What would you think it would be? What would be the community guideline that she would break that would make? I would immediately assume that it was something like about gay people or about like people of color or like some sort of like social issue.
Yeah, I think I would just have been like pretty rocked emotionally, and they could have edited it out, like we don't know. But Nick seemed to be kind of like, guess we're starting at day one, bro.
Well, I think he was resigned to it immediately because of, I think, what would be my assumptions. It's like, this person obviously has some stuff that I don't
Something
know
I don't
about.
know about. Yeah.
And that would, I mean, it would turn me to be like, well, I got to experience whatever's here, because I'd be like, who knows what she did? Who knows what she said? And she's freaking out, obviously, if that really is recordings of her. Like, that explosion could have also made him be like, ooh.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I don't know what kind of like witchcraft transpired with the Nicolandria people. They manifested.
People have been like underneath the moon, like doing some sort of rituals and burning up the hair of goats or whatever.
And you know what? They did it. They did it. They brought it to us. Does it feel produced to me? Yes. I don't think it is. It just feels like genuinely. The fact that Nick's mother said in a TikTok a week ago, like, I like Nick around Alandria because I feel like she brings out the man in him and he lets her let loose in a way. And then he essentially said that exact thing to Alandria that night after the recoupling. I was like, wait, what? And the problem with Nick is that Nick is just a himbo. Like, he sees a pretty girl and he breaks his neck.
Himbo.
Not a bimbo, a himbo. He loves a pretty girl.
That's the first time I've ever heard that. I've never heard the term himbo.
And see, that's the problem with marrying a middle-aged man. You
didn't marry a middle-aged man. You married a child. We've been married for 16 years.
No, I feel like himbo has been in the ether for a while.
I'm not saying that it hasn't been. I'm not up on all of this fresh lingo, apparently.
Okay, well, Nick is a himbo, and I don't even think this is fresh. I don't even know if like the Gen Zs would know what that is, but he just like will break his neck to look at a pretty thing. He sees a butterfly, he loses attention. I mean, I just think he sees Alandria. She is obviously stunning, and him talking about being so physically attracted to her was so funny. He was like, I tell her, don't back up on me. I'm like, what are you gonna give her another 26 seconds of pleasure? Like, Sierra, like Nick. He's so funny. He's very likable, even though he has these parts about him that I'm like very not aligned with.
Well,
I do find him to be funny.
He's very young, right?
He's charming. He is a very charming kid. He's fun to watch. I am so happy that the Nicolandria people got what they got. I don't think it's real. I don't think it's going to stand the test of time. Don't come for me. I really, really think that when the villa ends, Alandria's going to go back down south. And God, I hope she calls Jalen. I really do.
Oh,
and I
boy.
hope that Nick learns what it's like to be with like a whole woman like Alandria.
Well, he keeps saying that. I mean, he's essentially telling us that by saying, I just see it as my role from this point on in the villa to like care for her, make sure she's seen, make sure that she feels like a woman, make sure she feels cared for. These are not romantic things. These are very like paternal almost feelings towards her.
Him talking about her pancakes was like so cute. And honestly, he didn't talk like that about Sierra. I will say that. It does feel, and have you noticed that the way that he and Alandria describe Sierra is a distraction?
Yeah.
Once all distractions were let out, like we came together and blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. I also thought it was funny, like everybody was getting down together at night. Like everyone is sleeping together. And I'm like, oh my God, I could never. It would make me so stressed out.
Inches away from each other.
In twin beds. And I guess that's like on being in your 20s. But and let them live. But
let's talk about the Amaya and Brian of it all. What are we feeling about that? Where are you at? Are you shipping that relationship fully?
yes, that is who I will vote for in the finale should they make it, because I like them. I like that Brian was riding for her when no one else would. I like that Amaya was so herself the entire season that she has all of America rooting for her, and it shocked her that she went from the bottom three to the top on everything. It is an underdog story that I live for and I live by. And so, yes, I like that he is like into it. He's like, no, I like that you call me babe. No, I like that you call me. And that child, when they brought like the fake babies in, those dolls, and she said, and this is why I call your father daddy. Cracked me up.
Oh my God.
I'm like, Amaya, making me blush.
I mean, that straight up, that hideaway, I mean, she was coming
Telling him
for
where
the
to
win.
bite.
Yeah. So
I'm happy for them.
I ship the Amaya and Brian thing. I feel like it's a culture match. It's a love match. It's like they get each other, obviously. Like like he appreciates all the things about her that annoyed other people. Like, man, that's the kind of thing, like I would say, just from even our experience, it's like the things about you that no one else appreciated. If you find the person who like appreciates those things as opposed to like craps on those things, like that's the right person. The person who's going to celebrate the parts of you that may even be like abrasive to other people, but that person rides for that and is like, that makes me happy to see you act that way and to see you be passionate and to see you, be lovey-dovey and to go all in with your heart. Like, man, if he rides for that, I mean, she's found it.
I love it. I love that for her. And it really is like a lesson to both men and women, to exactly what you just said. Like, be yourself and you'll find someone who appreciates the things in you that people put down. So I love them. I think Ace and Shelley are actually like a really strong couple. I just struggle to root for them. I think Ace has been so strategic in this game that it's been difficult to tell if their connection was real for me. But him in this baby challenge was funny.
Oh, it was. And I will also say, the Taylor and Clark getting voted off by America. I be honest, I don't know that this was like their quick descent was really necessarily fair as far as like people putting like the being vindictive against him for like being done with Alandria or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't know how he could have handled any of that any better than he did with just like living into the truth of the fact that he liked Clark more than Alandria. So
I don't think that's people's issues. People's issues with it are that he was like clearly leading her on to stay on the show, that he and the guys voted off the only other connection she had before they could even connect.
That's a good point.
And he just, and even like when he very clearly liked Clark, he was like, well, I'm still open to you.
So smart. You're smarter than me, but I get that. Yep.
And then he closed it up and like made it clear to her in front of everyone at the Standing on Business. So like, while I was glad that he spoke his truth, it was about time. I think that's what caused people to be like.
And with the current couplings, like they're going to leave and hopefully like they want to pursue it, they will. The other people need more time. Like,
that's true.
If the Pepe and the Iris of it all are going to get together, like they need a little more time. If the Nick Landria,
even Brian and Amaya,
all of those relationships need more time to see if they're going to like really be a connection. And so,
I'll be honest with you, I don't know if Clark likes Taylor that much.
Really?
I think he likes her a lot. I don't know that I saw a lot of it reciprocated. The most I saw her do is lay on a daybed and say, really? Okay.
What was it that she was like, do you have any, I forget, that there was like a big question.
Like wedding plans?
Yeah, like wedding plans, yeah.
Yeah. And he talked about like the cowboy hat
anything,
or whatever.
But yeah.
Yeah, but I think she was just like talking in generalities. When they had the babies, I will say, if someone wants to have babies with anyone in that villa, Taylor would be the guy. He cared for that baby. Clark laid on a daybed and said, get that crying baby away from me.
I love it. And Pepe and I, what I will say is something's wrong with that freaking challenge, because Pepe and Iris were holding them baby. They were holding them wrong. They were leaving them on the counter. And they passed. I was like, dang.
Ace and Shelley. Ace is breaking his back running around with these twins.
They're like, you failed. I was like, what? By what metric?
When Shelley came down and said, is that our baby? And Ace said, yes. And she's like, oh, it has on a different shirt. He's so, God forbid, a factory make more than one shirt. You're not going to know who our kid is.
I'm going to tell you right now, that got me. And like,
we cackled.
I have not been an Ace fan. Something within me like awoke to like pull for him now because I'm like, that's really, really funny.
I will say, I still, I mean, he has won me over to a degree in the last few episodes. I feel like he did such a good job. Like, he and Chili both, like, kind of more putting, like, their connection on display. Like I said, prior to this, it has felt almost difficult to decipher what's going on. It's odd that they're not, like, closed off yet, but okay.
Well, before we shut it down, I do believe, like, people in the comments have come for us for hating on Huda too much. But I mean,
for my neck.
What are we doing here? Like, Chris is done.
He doesn't like her. That man looked disappointed when he called out their names.
I thought he was going to, like, I don't know if this is even possible, but I thought he was, like, going to sacrifice himself.
What do you think, it's the Hunger Games?
You don't go. You guys don't have to go. I'm going to go.
He's like, I volunteer as a tribute.
Literally. The way his face was looking when they announced that it was Taylor and Clark, I was like, he's going to stand up and be like, they can't go. I want to go. Please.
I mean, I feel sorry for him. I will say with Huda, this is something that we saw with Jeremiah as well, which is when she is intimate with someone, immediately after that, day after, she kind of flips the script and she begins to hold them to a higher standard, which to some degree I understand, but I don't feel that higher standard is then communicated with the man to whom she is holding it. And when Chris was trying to tell her, it's so clear that she has an anxious attachment style and he has an avoidant one. He's trying to tell her, this is something that bothered me. And she's cutting him off. And he's calmly saying, can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish? And by the time he's able to finish, he's just like, okay.
I'm done.
Done.
And
she can't catch a drift. She's screaming at him about that baby girl. It's a doll.
Well, and another part of this is like, it goes back to one of the first things I said on the first episode of this podcast, which is, or my first episode of this podcast, it is that, a single mother on the show is thinking about things that are just so far beyond what these like single, like, unattached people are thinking about. So like this baby challenge became a much bigger thing than it actually was to her.
I do think it was triggering for her to some degree.
And I totally understand that. That makes total sense. And I actually have a lot of empathy for her because of that. And so like, that's one thing I understand. Like when we were talking about it last night, I really did come to like a place of empathy for her. I'm like, because she's seeing this as more than it is. And no one else. It's
also like her time to shine. You know what I mean? Where she's like, I am a mother. I'm going to prove I'm a good mother. And that's why she was like, what? When Taylor got like the best thing or whatever.
And people need to realize also, like, I acknowledge good things about Huda's personality. I acknowledge the bad things too. And I really do have empathy for her. I think that she deserves love, and I think she needs the right kind of person. I don't think anybody on this island is ready to be a father of her child or even like a caretaker for a child.
Well, I think Huda rides for her man when she's riding for him. I think she wants to do well. I don't think she is emotionally ready for a relationship. I think I heard some people talking on TikTok about how, like, when you have a baby that young, you have a little bit of, like, that stunted adolescence. And the way that she's treating boyfriends is very much like how a 19-year-old treats a boyfriend, not a 24-year-old. And so I think she's just going to need to do a little work. She's using a lot of her brain to think about her own emotions and her child's emotions. And I don't think it clicks for her to think about anybody else's around her. I think that she's been, like, running on empty probably for a while because she's working hard.
And she is away from her child.
And I imagine that's difficult.
And this environment's not easy. Like, it probably spin me out, So, like, I want people to hear, like, we're not coming for her. We're just saying.
I think you could point out someone's bad behavior or reaction and say, like, oh, I don't like that she does that. And this is what I'm noticing.
100%.
But you're right. I mean, I have been hard on Huda, but I've been hard on Huda, the character in a TV show.
Yes, 100%.
Not like a human being. Like, I know that she is deeper than like the edits that we're seeing on TV.
This is an edit and we're commenting on the edit, but there's no like harsh and like negative feelings toward this person and individual. And I will also say she has a beautiful voice. You
were telling me that.
I saw some videos of her singing online. Now, these could have been created by AI, But if they weren't, and this was actually her singing, she has a very impressive voice.
Maybe she'll do more of that when she gets
out. And so maybe that's a partial thing, because I'm actually way more impressed by that and would love to hear more of that, as opposed to like her being a host or a podcaster or something like that. Like I'm more interested, like she has talent, real talent.
Yeah. Well, we learned Pepe plays 3 instruments this week too, just like
he was
crazy.
playing freaking slide guitar on TikTok. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Pepe.
So, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, all these people are very multifaceted. I think I focused on Huda, honestly, because I have grown up with people and lived with people who act like that, who pull out all the air in the room, and it's about them and nothing else. And I personally can't handle that. Like, when people act that way, I immediately remove myself.
Well, and for the people who I don't necessarily agree with, but have been online in this discourse about how boring this season is, like, they've had to center her.
Yeah.
You know, like in their minds, like in production's mind, for a while, like people weren't really given that much except for the Huda Jeremiah of it all. And so like, I totally get that, like, in a way, they almost had to center some of her worst moments because like nobody else was really given it, you know? So. And
to be honest, like the last couple episodes, she's been more funny than before and like more fun to watch. But the stuff with Chris, it's just like, it's hard watching it melt down in slow motion.
Yep.
But, you know, we'll see what happens tonight. Last night they got voted off. Tonight, nothing's happening. It's Wednesday. I literally don't know what day of the week it is. I'm like losing my mind.
And it's late now.
I know it's late. We got to watch Bachelor in Paradise. We're so busy, y'all.
Yep.
But thank you so much for listening. And remember, we are going to be watching the finale live together at a bar in New York City on Sunday, July 13th.
Yeah. So it's this Sunday, July 13th. It's at 7:30 to 10. We'll probably wait until 9 to actually start showing it, even though it kind of comes out at like 8:30, sometimes early. But we will be at the Jeffrey Bar and Bites on 60th Street here in the city. It's going to be a blast. They've given us 2 massive rooms. We're going to play some games. We're going to do door prizes. We're going to be unveiling some of our new merch. It's going to be a great time. So definitely come out. And you can get your tickets at popsnitch.com. They're free tickets. You can sign up for that, get your tickets, all of that at popsnitch.com.
Bye.
Bye.